Welcome to the beautiful Guangxi Sports Center in southern China for the 45th Artistic Gymnastics World Championship from Nanning. Hi everyone, my name is Bart Connor along with my fellow Olympic gold medalist Amanda Borden, and we are thrilled to be bringing you the action today of the men's team final competition featuring the top 8 teams in the world based on their qualifications a couple of days ago. Good to be working with you, Amanda.
I'm excited to see this competition.
It's been a magnificent organization of the competition here in Nanjing. Team final today is a little bit different than the qualifying round, isn't it?
That's right. Pressure is on. We've got a great crowd on hand here. 3 athletes up for every team. All 3 scores count, and that is every single event, every routine.
Interesting storylines to follow. China has been the most dominant team in men's gymnastics for more than a decade. They've won 9 out of the last 10 world championships. And if they're to win here, it could be their record 6th world team title in a row. Here are the teams that will be competing. China, the United States, Russia, and Brazil, Japan, Great Britain, Germany, and Switzerland. The top 8 qualifiers from earlier competition in Nanning. China's getting ready to go, and we mentioned they have dominated men's gymnastics for a long time. They'll have strong challenges today from Japan, who hasn't won a team gold medal since back in 1978. An exciting team that looks really on form here. And the United States men have looked spectacular in qualifying rounds as well.
Here's their lineup on the floor exercise. That's where they'll be starting along with Japan. So it's going to be a back-to-back competition right off the top. And like I mentioned, all 3 scores count. So pressure is on because all of these teams have a chance.
Take a look at China's domination there, going all the way back to 1994 in China, in Dortmund, Germany. They've won 9 out of the last 10 world championships. Can they do it one more time? This time, again, in front of a home crowd. You talk about an enthusiastic crowd. Great pressure, enormous pressure on the home team to see if they can continue their domination. But they'll have great competition from the U.S. In fact, Danelle Leva, Sam Mikulik, and Alex Nador will start them off on the pommel horse. And that, as you know, Amanda, is a tricky event to start on.
Definitely a lot like the balance beam. Pressure will be on, and they need to stay in control.
There is King Kohei Uchimura. He is, well, probably the Michael Jordan of gymnastics. He's the most dominant male gymnast in history with 4 world all-around titles. He has 13 world championship medals and 5 Olympic medals, including the Olympic gold in the all-around. He will be leading this spectacular team from Japan that has looked right on during these championships. A crucial moment for the U.S. comes right here at the beginning of the meet. Sam Mikulik, 2-time national champion, will lead off on pommel horse, a clutch event under any circumstances. Watch this first move here. The scissor traveling to the end of the horse is known as a Mikulik in the International Code of Points. The move is named after him.
We mentioned the pressure of this event. This event is tough to compete no matter what, similar to balance beam. But to start here, you have a lot of adrenaline. Got to find your rhythm, stay in control. So far, so good.
Normally, Mikulik is just money for the U.S. team because he has the right disposition to compete coolly and aggressively.
Well, no better person to have up on this event. First up, first event, you can see that smile on his face. He is happy with that routine.
He had an incredible career at the University of Michigan. Now he's an assistant coach there. He'll turn 22 next week.
Great view of how precise every skill is. You can see how detailed the hand placement is. And most importantly, got the competition rolling. That's exactly what they needed him to do on this first event. Job well done.
Great confidence in that young man's face. 14.933 was his score in the qualifying round.
You got this, Alex. Come on.
Number 3 up, 3 counts. So if there is a slight mistake, the team will be okay. But if there's a disastrous performance, it could mark the end of the day for any team, no matter how good they are on paper, whether you're China, Japan, Russia, U.S. 14.708, a good, strong start for Mikulik on the pommel horse for the U.S.
All right, Alex, you got this.
The strongest pommel horse performer not only for the U.S., but one of the strongest in the world. He qualified second into the team final the other day. Alex Nador, the 23-year-old out of Gilbert, Arizona, who was an alternate to the Olympic team in 2012. He's the three-time U.S. champion on this event.
He has great difficulty.
What I like about him is he's very strong. So if he's a little bit off, he has the arm to muscle through, but he also has, as you mentioned, high level of difficulty. Oh, okay, just a little tight there.
Well, that's where that strength comes in. You can see the form separation, obviously a deduction, but much better than coming off of the equipment. And that happens because he's fighting through. This team knows they need to stay on this event for all three routines.
All right.
And so far, they're 2 for 2.
Aggressive. Even though there are a few minor form breaks, very aggressive routine for the U.S. national champion. Now from Russia, this is Denis Albiazin. He's the 22-year-old from Penza. Had the second highest score in the qualifying round here, 15.866. And in fact, he only competed in 3 events for Russia, the floor, rings, and vault, and he has qualified for the individual event finals in all 3 events.
Well, starts out with tremendous strength, drops it down, presses it back up.
Oh,
very difficult.
That back lever back up to Maltese is just superhuman.
And right into combination work. Obviously, this event incorporates a lot of strength, but also control. Beautiful form throughout.
He led the Russian team to the gold medal at the European Championships last spring, and then he won 3 individual gold medals as well. He has the perfect body for gymnastics, and particularly rings, because he is light and yet enormously strong. Not too heavy in the lower body. And look at that.
Huge dismount, laid out double-double, nailed the landing. Strong routine.
Expect a gigantic score there for Russia in this first rotation. Chung Ran will be up for China on the floor exercise. He's competing in his first World Championships, even though he's 23 years of age. He has a highly risky routine with tons of difficulty. And that's the trademark of the Chinese team, in fact, in general. They go for more difficulty than any other team in today's team final.
Well, here's one of those passes right here. 3.5 twist. Oh. Wow, 3.5 twist, directly connected to a front full, overshot, and of course came up short. Major deduction.
A fall in gymnastics these days is a full 1-point deduction, in addition to the technical errors that go with it. This is not how China wanted to start off this competition in front of a home crowd, that's for sure.
Similar combination pass there. This event takes tremendous endurance, showing strength skills, along with lots of tumbling. And they have to fit that all in within 1 minute and 10 seconds. Takes tremendous endurance.
That press to handstand with the wide arm press is a non-acrobatic skill, which is a requirement. It looked like he didn't quite hold it long enough.
Finishing it out, triple full.
Well, it's amazing. The difficulty in the tumbling for all of these gymnasts. Nador 15.066. Quite a bit less than his score in qualifying round, but once again, no major error there. A solid score for the U.S. team. Albiazin 15.8 for Russia on an event where they excel. Chung Ran's score on floor, we'll be waiting for that. Had a 15.433 in qualifying. This will be significantly less.
Well, this was a strong opening pass right here, but here's where the problem happened. Watch this, a 3.5 twist, very difficult, but he overshoots the landing too far forward, which didn't give him enough height on that front full. Of course, completely landed flat. Still had multiple passes left. This one, his final tumbling run, finishing triple full and holding on to that landing.
China took a big risk, as they'll do all day long, with the highest degree of difficulty of any of the teams. In fact, they're risking 2.2 points more in start value than even Japan in second place. Score of a 14.0. Now, here's Kenzo Shirai from Japan. He is the reigning world champion, and he is just unique on this event in every way.
Wow. Oh. Huge combination passes with lots of twisting, very difficult. He did step out of bounds. That will be 3/10.
He's the 18-year-old from Yokohama who debuted 2 moves that are named after him at last year's World Championships: the quad twist, which is the way he'll finish his floor routine today, and the triple twisting Yurchenko vault.
He makes it look so easy, but that is so difficult. The amount of twists happening in those 2 flips does get him a very high score in the difficulty score, hoping for that 7.4 range. You can see him catching his breath, because here's that difficult tumbling pass.
It's a quad at the end.
Wow! Nails it.
Unbelievable, and a 15.766, even with an out-of-bounds deduction of 0.3 of a point. Japan has the lead with 46.732, followed by Russia and Great Britain. China in 5th, the U.S. in 6th. Welcome back to Nanning, China, the Artistic Gymnastics World Championships men's team final. This is 18-year-old Niall Wilson from Great Britain, and what a spectacular young gymnast this kid is. Junior European champion just last spring, where he won 5 gold medals. Then he joined the senior team for the Commonwealth Games and helped them to a gold medal for Great Britain. And this is his first major international competition right here, the World Championships, for this talented young man.
And he qualified for the team, or for the all-around finals, as the top 2 athletes.
Really impressed with his quality of his gymnastics. Not only does he have great form and execution, but really nice technique. He really is the future of British gymnastics.
Nice combination.
Judges are looking for swing elements, as he showed in those Yamawakis, those double flipping somersaults in between the rings. And of course, never hurts to be enormously strong to do the power strength moves to get a big score. He's 18, so he doesn't quite have the same level of difficulty in terms of strength moves as some of the more mature gymnasts. But there's a face and a name to remember for the future, Niall Wilson. You go from the youngest and least experienced to a gentleman that's even known among other gymnasts as a god in the sport, Uchimura, who just seems to be a cool character regardless of the pressure of the moment.
That's right, a tremendous competitor. Knows how to handle the pressure. We've talked about how decorated he is as an individual athlete, but one of the goals here is to get that World Championship gold medal back to Japan.
He has been undefeated in world competition since 2008. The one medal that is not hanging in his cabinet is a team medal. Boy, he's a cool character here. He does high level of difficulty with just precise form and technique throughout.
Well, you can see his extension and his lines on every single event. He's got that perfect line. He's powerful and fluid, and that's what gets him the big scores, as well as consistency.
And he is one of those gymnasts that all gymnasts in the building just have enormous praise for because of his completeness. So the score for Niall Wilson, a respectable 14.6 on rings. And Uchimura, a 15.266, keeps the team from Japan in first place at the halfway point here in the second rotation of these World Gymnastics Championships. It's the men's team final. Don't go away. Back at the World Gymnastics Championship, I'm Bart Connor along with Amanda Borden. Ready for the second rotation now. The U.S. team moves from a strong opening round on the pommel horse to the rings where first off will be Jake Dalton, the 23-year-old originally out of Reno, Nevada, now training in Norman, Oklahoma with Mark Williams at the University of Oklahoma.
Day one scored a 15.4, so this is a strong event.
He competed in 5 of the 6 events for the U.S. in the qualifying round. Did not do the pommel horse. It's an event where he struggles a little bit. 3rd in the all-around the U.S. Championships. And, of course, last year at the World Championships, he was a silver medalist on the floor exercise. Let's see what he can do for the U.S. team here on an event where he is very strong.
Nice control, perfect alignment. You can see his teammates in the background. This U.S. team, great friends, really rooting each other on.
There really is a sense here among the U.S. guys of redemption, because gymnastics enthusiasts might remember back to the 2012 Olympics in London. The U.S. men qualified first into the team final, but finished a disappointing 5th place off the podium altogether. So a finish back on the podium today for the U.S. would be historic.
Strong dismount, small hop there. But so far, they're clean, and that's what it's going to come down to.
Next up for Russia, who is currently in 2nd after the first rotation, is David Belyaski. He's the 22-year-old. Scored a 15.316. You need to notice the 6.0 sign over his shoulder. That indicates the degree of difficulty of the vault that he's going to go for now.
Very difficult. Souk double pike. Came up a little bit short. Obviously a big deduction for the chest down and the large step forward, but that is tremendous.
He was a member of their he was a member of their European Championship team this past spring. Dong Shidi, one of the most balanced all-around gymnasts in the world right now. Qualified 4th to the all-around final here, and 4th into the parallel bar finals as well. The 23-year-old, very balanced gymnast.
Chinese team always has beautiful form, toe point, nice lines.
Little struggle up to that handstand. China in 5th after the first rotation here. Not what they had hoped for. And interestingly enough, China is normally masterful on this event, but they struggle a little bit in pommel horse in the qualifications. Swings a little bit tighter than some of his teammates. He doesn't quite have the elevation over the horse.
Oh, wow.
And off the wrong side on that dismount. He intended to either keep pirouetting or come off on the other side. We'll see what the judges do with that.
Show it up!
Nice,
Yeah!
15.0, solid score for Jake Dalton on rings.
Getting those arms rubbed out. Looked like he struggled through that last part of the routine.
I just sense an enormous amount of pressure on these gymnasts. Usually on the sidelines, they're a lot happier, a lot more smiling, high fives, and they just seem to have the weight of the world on their shoulders here in front of this home crowd.
Well, obviously the team expected to win. That's pressure in it itself. But then you add the home crowd. Everybody here is rooting for you. You can see right there that little bit of a struggle. He was supposed to go off the other side. That will be a significant deduction.
He is the current Chinese all-around champion, 14.233. Not the score that they had hoped for Dong Shudi. Kohei Kameyama now from Japan, the 25-year-old, who is the reigning world champion on this event, but he struggled. Japan had a little trouble in the qualifying round here, and he struggled as well as some of the other teammates, and did not qualify for the final here. He has really great lines on this event.
14.3 in the qualification.
I really love his execution.
Capable of improving that. You can see that beautiful form.
This sequence he does in the middle of the pommels here is just mind-boggling. Watch this coming up here. Those Russian Wendy swings in between the pommels takes incredible technique and strength.
And holding on to pretty good form throughout.
This is a much better exercise.
And this is when they get challenged. Tired right here. Prepping for the dismount. Much better.
And a score of 15.3, an improvement of an entire point over his effort in the qualifying round. And what a time to do it for Japan. So here are the standings after 2 of 6 rotations. Japan holds on to the lead 1/3 of the way through this competition. Welcome back to Nanning. Action begins in the 3rd of 6 rotations. The powerhouse team from China will move to the rings where they are exceptional. Liu Yang, the 20-year-old, competed last year at the World Championships only in this event. Qualified first into the final, but finished out of the medals. He is very reminiscent of Chen Yibing, who's the 4-time world champ from China. Watch his technique and strength.
Lots of difficulty.
This one blows me away. Watch this. It's called a butterfly pull all the way up to an inverted iron cross. That's just
wow.
Superhuman. Uprise to planche. Judges are looking for precise body positions. Look at that.
They make it look so easy.
And a press once again to a perfect inverted iron cross.
One thing that really stands out with China on this event is not just that level of difficulty. He's hoping for a difficulty score of about a 6.9, but it's the execution. You mentioned earlier, anything above an 8.8 on this event, they're capable of the 9s in execution, which is going to get them huge scores.
Their closest rival in the team competition coming into him is Japan, and of course China has a 1.6 advantage on this event alone in terms of start value over their closest rival, Japan. And you can see why. They have the execution and the difficulty to get gigantic scores. Back to the vault now for the United States. Jake Dalton doing a great job for the U.S. And he has an outstanding vault. This is a triple twister, 6.0 start value.
Oh, wow.
There he is.
Lots of twisting happening in that vault. He did step out of the bounds, which will be 1/10 of a deduction.
Come on, Don, let's go! Let's get it, Don.
He doesn't just perform well, he's a great team leader. This is going to give you a good view right here, coming off the table. Has to twist early enough to finish the triple, which is why he veers a little bit off to the left. You can see right there, he's already generating the twist. Takes tremendous height to be able to fit 3 full spins in there, and of course that left foot stepped out.
Let's keep it going, Don. Come on now.
That vault known as a Kazumatsu double full, which is a total of 3 twists in the air off the vault table. Dalton does it effortlessly. 14.933. About 2/10 of a point less than his effort in the qualifying round. Daniel Wittenberg, just 20 years of age, originally out of Baltimore, Maryland, now training at the U.S. Olympic Training Center. He has been a great addition to the U.S. men's team because he adds a high degree of difficulty on several events, including vault, parallel bars, I-bar.
Wow. You can see how much power performing a vault. A little bit different. Front flips off the table, very difficult. Half turn, he did step out of the bounds. But another good score for them, that'll be.
Liu Yang, 15.9. Any score approaching 16 in men's gymnastics is just out of this world. Great effort for China on this event where they excel. Yu Hao, the 22-year-old, competing in his 2nd World Championships. Last year at the World Championships in Belgium, he competed only on the parallel bars for the team. Butterfly pull up to perfect planche.
This team looking to beat their scores from yesterday, like every team does. He scored 15.633. Beautiful form.
We'll be talking all day long about the importance of start values. Look at this, a laid out Gutsogi.
Wow.
Double backflip within the rings to a Nanning, which is named after the legendary gymnast from China, Nanning, the 3-time Olympic gold medalist, who's from this region of China. Look at the control of the rings.
Looking for a stick right here.
And a double laid out.
Wow.
It is amazing the risks they're taking. They got off to a rough start on the floor and the pommel horse, but the Chinese team, with a high degree of difficulty, are going to claw their way back into this team competition. 15-4-6-6. So at the halfway point through this third rotation, China's in first, but remember, the other half of the teams haven't competed yet in this rotation. China starting to pick up some momentum with a 46-5-3-2 on the rings.
Well, they won that event in the qualification round.
U.S. solid with a 45-0-6-5 on vault. They are currently in second halfway through this rotation. We're back at the World Gymnastics Championships, the men's team final. Max Whitlock will be up for Great Britain on the vault. And boy, one of my great memories from the Olympics in 2012 was his spectacular competition in the team final to help the British win a team bronze medal. Nice triple twister there.
Well, we've seen a variety of different vaults. This one, the Yurchenko, round off onto the board, back handspring onto the table, and of course the triple twist.
This is a vault that he is well known for. And a disappointing meet in the qualifying round here, unfortunately.
You can see right there, round off onto the board, nice position onto the table, generates some rotation, of course, completes those 3 twists, and stays in the lines, which is very difficult to do on these vaults that have so many twists. A little bit easier to stay square off the table on a Yurchenko. You can see, though, still comes close to that right line.
And the score for Whitlock, 15.366. Great Britain having a very solid day so far, consistent throughout. A little bit overshadowed by the outstanding Chinese and Japanese teams, but it looks like the medals should come down to China and Japan shooting for the gold. Perhaps the U.S. and Great Britain, maybe Russia shooting for the bronze. That's how we predicted coming into this competition. Let's see if it plays out that way as we take a look now at Kohei Uchimura, the 25-year-old.
Scored a 15.266 last qualification round.
One of the things I like about him is he's really balanced everywhere. He has no weak events, and typically an all-around gymnast might be good on 4 events and they struggle on a couple. But what makes him unique is that he is able to score 15 and above on all 6 events.
Which is what he did in the qualification round. Put him in the #1 spot in the all-around.
What's also amazing about him is he does it year in and year out.
Exactly. It's the consistency. He's got a great build. He's fast, strong, but he's light. So on an event like this, he makes it look effortless.
And he's a mental giant because you rarely see him buckle under pressure. Look at that. Clean double-double at the end of that routine.
He likes it.
I just think it's so interesting that a guy who has such clean form has such messy hair. How does that work together?
That is a good point.
You rarely catch him in a position that isn't exactly right on.
But a lot of that comes from technique. When you have flawless technique, it's much easier to have the good form. And that's also why he's able to deliver consistency year after year.
In a way, he's a photographer's dream, because you could use a fast frame shutter and you'd never catch him in an ugly position. Look at that, knees together and toes pointed throughout a double-double off of rings. Few gymnasts in the world can do it with that kind of finesse. Uchimura, 14.833. Japan looking very solid in that first place spot right now. Yusuke Tanaka, the 24-year-old. from Wakayama, scored a 15-3 in the qualifying. His older brother, Kazuhito Tanaka, is here as an alternate. And they are this famous gymnastics family from Japan because their sister Rie was a 2012 Olympian as well. 3 gymnasts from one family, all on the national team in Japan. That move he is known for. Kip to a V.
Tremendous flexibility and strength.
Another combination into the V. And Kip to V is known as a Tanaka in the International Code of Points. He's the first to debut and is now named after him.
Another clean routine.
Isn't it interesting? He looks like a clone of sorts of Uchimura. It's like they all have the same body line, the same great technique and form. It's as if Uchimura set a standard that all other gymnasts in Japan are trying to match. Look at this body position.
Beautiful. And another strong dismount, double-double, spotting that landing. Strong performance for them on the rings.
Cool characters, 15.033. Japan with confidence, just knocking out routine after routine. That's why they're in first place right now at the halfway point. Great Britain having an awesome day. China, folks, has moved from 6th all the way up to 3rd with the strength of their effort on the still rings. Don't go away. It's the 45th Artistic World Gymnastics Championships from Nanning, China. We're at the halfway point in the competition. Kenzo Shirai will vault now for Japan, the current leaders at the midpoint. Japan has been smooth and solid.
Triple twisting Yurchenko. It's actually one of the elements named after him. Wow. Beautiful form.
Well, you sure hate to mess up a move that's named after you, wouldn't you? Nicely done for the 18-year-old Kenzo Shirai.
Big smile on his face. You know, doesn't have a super powerful build, but he demonstrates great power on floor and vault, and that's because of his technique. Beautiful form in the air, and you can see almost dead down that straight center line. Comes off the table, generating nice rotation first. Able to land with that chest up.
In the qualifying round, he competed in 3 events for Japan, the floor vault and parallel bars.
He did qualify on this event as an individual finalist.
15.4. Great job for Japan on the vault. They have been solid throughout to this point today, unlike China that got off to a rough start. China has started to build momentum in the last rotation on the rings and is moving up into contention. Ryohei Kato now, the 21-year-old. He's actually coached by his father, Hiroyuki Kato, who is a former member of the Japanese team.
Another solid vault. I'm so impressed with their consistency, and you mentioned he was 7th in the all-around competition. He didn't move on to the finals, but that also is a testament of the depth of this team.
That vault has a 5.6 start value, not as difficult as some of the others in competition. So this is where Japan needs to be very solid because they don't have the same high start values as China. So they're going to have to be perfect throughout to stay in the lead.
Doesn't have the level of difficulty, but that forward landing can sometimes be a little bit more difficult to stick. Right here, 2.5 twists, spotting the ground. Nice and straight, though. Good form in the air, so the execution score should be pretty good.
14.966, 1/10 of a point better than his score in qualification. Uchimura will be last up to vault for Japan at a 15.4 in the qualifying round. He does a little bit of a different style vault. He does the handspring style vault where he handsprings forward onto the horse. Does 2.5 twists off, and as you can see there, 6.0 is the degree of difficulty for this vault.
Lots of speed into the table.
Oh, nice.
Wow. You know, it's fun to watch men's vault. You see a variety of different vaults, whereas in women's, we typically see the Yurchenko over and over.
Good job for Uchimura as we go over to the parallel bars. Great Britain having a very strong day. Daniel Purvis, the 23-year-old, up next. They qualified in 10th spot into the all-around final, so we'll see more of him here in Nanning. 7th in the all-around last year at the World Championships.
Nice control.
Nice. Peach to one bar and a Healy turn out of it.
Judges looking for those body lines, hitting handstand every single time.
Parallel bars is one of those events where the judges look for swings above the bar like that and below the bar like that, and even swings in the upper arm support like that. Gold medalist at the recent Commonwealth Games on parallel bars this past summer.
Dismounting, double pike.
Even though he competes for Great Britain, he competed in the Commonwealth Games for his home country of Scotland. They took second in the team competition. Uchimura's 15.4. Keeps Japan in a solid position atop the leaderboard. 182.371. 2 events to go in this team competition. Purvis waits for his score. He's a member of the bronze medal team from Great Britain in the 2012 Olympics.
We've seen tremendous routines from all of these teams. Lots of consistency. It's really making for an exciting competition. He was solid throughout this routine. Little form error there. Stayed on his feet on this dismount.
And I like that he's also a very balanced gymnast. Equally good on all 6 events. The score for Purvis, a 15.2 on parallel bars. Very respectable job for Great Britain. More exciting gymnastics when we come back. It's the men's team final at the Artistic Gymnastics World Championships from Nanning, China. I'm Bart Connor along with Amanda Borden. We're in the 4th rotation. Japan was solid on the vault. That means it's time for the best 3 vaulters from China to step up and perform their vaults. Lin Xiaopan, the 19-year-old, will be first to go. The reigning world champion on the parallel bars.
They were ranked #1 in the qualification round on this event. They're coming off a big performance. Wow.
So high.
Incredible height.
That's that Kaz double full or a triple twist in total. 6.0's degree of difficulty on it.
We had tremendous power. She got a lot of height up the table. You can hear the crowd going wild. Always fun to be the home team. Nice view here. You can see a little off center, but he stayed in that white line.
And you're right, he got such an explosive push off the vault table. Just launched him in the air.
I mentioned they're coming off a big performance from the still rings and coming to another strong event. So high, he's out of the frame there. You can see those feet crossing a little bit. You don't see that when it's fast, or you don't see it as much, I should say, but those judges are smart. They will see and take the execution deductions needed.
China feeling a little bit more enthusiastic after that strong effort on the rings. 15.366. Dong Shudi had a 15.216 and qualified. Of the 6 gymnasts that came here to compete from China, 5 of them all did the same exact vault. This Kaz double full. control.
You can see they are so explosive. It's very interesting. We see a lot of the great vaulters with that very powerful build. The Chinese team doesn't necessarily have that powerful build. They're just fast and strong, and they have good form and technique. And yet they deliver some of the best vaults in the world.
And once again, a great push off the vault table to launch him in the air.
You can see those cause vaults can be very difficult to stay centered down the white line because they're turning early off the table, not really completing the first part of the turn. But because of that technique, you can see right there, beautiful in the air, spots the ground.
Chest just a little bit low on the landing, but he was trying to stick it cold. 15.3 for Dong Shudi. Chong Rong. We saw him struggle on floor exercise when he went for that very difficult routine. Fell on that combination of a 3.5 twister to a punch front full. Let's see if he can redeem himself here. Doing the same vault as the other two gymnasts.
Not just the same vault, it's almost executed the exact same, which, to be honest with you, that should be another score within the 15 range, and we've seen no other team do that on this event. Picking up steam, no doubt about it, and they delivered here on the vault. That 3-up, 3 count is a big deal when you can put up scores like that. Of course, the crowd rooting them on. See great speed on the run. They come in at that angle, so they're able to lead directly at vertical, helping in the height. You can see their chest is down, all three of them a little bit on the landing. That's not a major deduction. Like I said, I think it's super impressive. They're completing those twists, staying in the bounds right there.
And you mentioned that enthusiastic crowd. From the start of this competition, they've been behind the home team.
Big rotation.
15.4, another huge score for China. Can they work their way back into a podium finish, or even better, 46.066. Currently second behind Japan. Danielle Wittenberg now for the United States. A 20-year-old who trains at the U.S. Olympic Training Center out in Colorado Springs. Had an incredible day in qualifying. Qualified 4th to the all-around final and 7th into the parallel bars final.
We've talked about this U.S. team. It's pretty much the same team we saw in London, plus Danielle. Oh, wow, great fight there.
Well, he does such difficulty on this event. Sometimes he struggles with form and execution, but this guy does every trick in the book. Look at this. Uprise to double backflip. Moi to front flip. Uprise backflip with a half twist.
He's doing a great job fighting through this routine. See a little bit of form on some of those turning elements. Double front half dismount. He was a fighter there. This U.S. team, you know, they've had some struggles. We've seen them, but so far they have hit every single routine they've done. And I have to say, I think it's because they are fighting for this. They want this bad.
He really had to struggle through this routine. It wasn't as clean as he wanted, and when he got in a little bit of trouble, he had to put those strong biceps on it to just put himself back into position.
Right here, you can see, wow, pressing it out. If he didn't have the strength, he might not have been able to hold on to that element. Finished strong there, though, double front half.
I think the judges are really going to hit him on execution scores. 14.633. 9/10 of a point less than he scored in qualifying. So a rough effort there, but no major disaster for the U.S. Talk about a contrast. Danielle Leva now, former world champion on this event. He can really swing this routine.
He has a high level of difficulty. getting close to a 7.0 in the difficulty score, which is tough to do.
Had a 15.9 in qualifying, the top qualifier at these World Championships the other day.
And the way he gets there is not just the difficulty, it's his execution on this event. He's got a great line and great form.
Of course, he's well known for his work on the high bar as well. And in many ways, he swings this event a little bit like the high bar. He is just swings it out there at the end of his fingertips. Watch these moves. Look at the power through the bottom. Most guys would peel off at the bottom. But he has such great technique and strength.
And you can see full extension at the top of his lines. His shoulders completely open and extended.
Oh, this looks like a high bar routine.
Lots of swinging elements there. Catches in that perfect handstand.
Bronze medalist in the all-around at the Olympics. Nice job for Leva.
He likes it. Those front landings can be very difficult. That blind landing, stayed on his feet, and a very clean routine.
His story has been well documented. Born in Cuba, but emigrated to the United States, and he's coached by his stepdad, Yin Alvarez. China will move on to their 5th rotation. If they picked up a little momentum after a rough start, China clawing their way back into this competition. .15.666 for Danelle Leva. The U.S. looking strong. And here are the standings after 4 of 6 rotations. Japan, China, Great Britain, and the United States. We're focusing today on this coverage on the top teams. And it's going to be close coming down to the end. Welcome back to Nanning. We're ready for the 5th of 6 rotations here at the men's team final. Jake Dalton having a great day for the U.S. team. Saw a solid performance on the rings from him. Also the vault. There's an enormous amount of pressure coming down on high bar for these teams in these final rotations.
This is always an exciting event to watch. High flying. We mentioned on P-bars, this team has put up 3 routines on every event and has been solid. So that is the goal right now. So he starts him out. Nice release combination. Very nice. Tkachev catching in that mixed grip.
Dalton has been essential in that leadoff role. You get a good, clean routine going, and it starts to build the confidence of the rest of the guys in the rotation.
Wow. Very nice.
Let's go!
Like you mentioned, he's putting up those consistent routines, but you know what? He is a great leader, high energy, getting this team going. And that's important.
By far, the U.S. men are the most vocal in Nanning. As we take a look at Yu Hao from China. They have been very peaceful and calm on the sidelines. A sense, a little excitement building around the Chinese program after a slow start. They are starting to pick up some momentum, and parallel bars is where they shine.
We scored a 15.5 in the qualification round. We've talked about it all day long. They stand out in their level of difficulty and their execution. He is capable of going over a 7 points in the difficulty score.
Very few gymnasts in the world can have a 7.0 start value on parallel bars. This has been an event that has been dominated by the Chinese gymnasts for near the last 15 years.
Dismounting double front half, little low on the mistakes or execution errors throughout that routine. All the different elements, flipping was very clean.
Jake Dalton, the 14.5, 2/10 better than his qualifying effort. And a momentum builder for the U.S. on the high bar. Brings up John Orozco, the 21-year-old from Bronx, New York, training at the U.S. Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. Second in the all-around of U.S. championships this year, and he's the U.S. champion on this event, the high bar.
Starting right out with the release. Full twisting to Kacha, very difficult.
You know, when you see his mild-mannered persona on the sidelines, you can't imagine that he could be so aggressive when he actually steps up to the high bar. This is great.
Lots of releases packed in this routine. Another one right there.
And extra points for doing those two moves back-to-back. Connection bonus. A little bit off on that hop full.
Winding up for the dismount. Full twisting double layout, nailed the landing.
The U.S. men know they're in the hunt. Coming into this rotation, they were separated on that bronze medal position with the Great Britain team by just 2 1/1000ths of a point. As we look at Yu Hao's score, incredible. China pouring it on parallel bars.
Bettering their scores, routine after routine from the qualification.
Doesn't hurt that the next performer from China is the reigning world champion on this event. Lin Chaopan, just 19 years of age. The youngest member of the Chinese team here. Let's see how he does under this pressure. Beautiful technique.
See beautiful lines and form. It's difficult to keep those feet and toes perfect through elements that have the turning skills as well as the flight. Get a big score in the qualification, 15.3.
Wow. That move is called a Bavzar. Swings from one end of the bars out to the other. Bavzar invented by U.S. gymnast Raj Bavzar.
We can see throughout these entire routines, they have great fluidity, nice form, beautiful lines.
Wow.
And that is the second dismount they have nailed.
Look at that from the 19-year-old.
Wow.
Says, take that.
That might better the score.
Wow.
We said early in the competition, they looked nervous. They looked like they were feeling the pressure. Now, they are in the zone.
Let's go, Tony!
John Orozco with a very respectable 14.833, and it brings up Danelle Leyva. And this is one of those routines where you can just sit back and watch. Although, in the qualifying round, he flew off and made a mistake.
And that scored a 13.6, which is definitely a low mark for him.
He can just fly on this event. And he's one of those guys who really hangs it out there at the end of his fingertips, and I admire that about him. Great combination to start. Now watch how he cranks these giants. This is insane.
Wow. Lots of speed, big release.
Woo, one more. Nice.
Obviously, the fans here in China rooting for their team, but anybody in the stands watching this routine is getting excited right now.
He's a little late on some of those pirouetting catches. You're supposed to catch him closer to the top of the handstand, but he doesn't care. He just keeps slinging them out there. I love this reckless abandon.
Well, all that's left is the dismount.
Nice.
Beautiful height. Wow, much better than the qualification round.
Oh, yeah.
We always see a lot of emotion from him. He's very stoic prior to the routine, and then we get this when he nails it.
The 22-year-old out of Miami, Florida, just flies over the high bar.
Wow.
Look at the
Beautiful technique.
Look at the execution. He's a cool character.
When you catch those releases fully extended like that, it shows the technique. And then look at that dismount. Completes the twist prior to landing. And there's the emotion.
What a clutch routine for the U.S. when they needed it on the high bar. Their final event will be the floor exercise in the 6th rotation. And China did themselves solid at 15.9 for Lin Xiaopan on the parallel bars. Score for Leva of 15.1, 1.5 better than his effort in qualifying the U.S. in 1st place, the halfway point of this 5th rotation. We're ready now for the second half of the 5th rotation from Russia. Here is Denis Ablyazin, winner of 2 medals.
This is a big floor routine here. Look at that height there on that opening tumbling pass. He scored a 16.066, the highest score in the qualification round. Huge. Oh, stepped out of bounds there.
A laid out double-double, incredible.
You can see tremendous power there, connecting combination pass to a double front.
That is crazy, a double twister to a tuck double front. Russia in somewhat of a rebuilding phase after the 2012 Olympics. Turbulence in the Russian Gymnastics Federation, so working their way back up into contention once again, and it's going to be routines like this that help them. This is amazing.
Wow.
Talk about difficulty.
Yeah, reaching over 7 points in the difficulty score, finishing their triple full. And a big score.
15.583 for Ablyazin. Ryohei Kato will be up for Japan on the parallel bars now. The 5th highest score in qualifications.
You can see him doing those last-minute chalk-ups on this event. You see every athlete likes that bar a little bit different. They don't wear grips, so very important that they feel that the bar has that stickiness to it as they do those swinging elements. He also has those arm pads on, which means we're probably going to see some releases to that upper arm.
Like China, Japan is exquisite on this event with difficulty as well as execution. Although in terms of start values, China has an advantage over Japan on this event by about 1.2. So once again, China being acknowledged for the high degree of difficulty in all their start values.
Remember, they also executed flawlessly. So there's pressure on this Japanese team. Nice form there.
I have great admiration for the Japanese team because their style of gymnastics is a style that I personally appreciate. It's a really clean line execution, smooth rhythmic routines with adequate difficulty.
Clean double pike, hop back a little bit.
Christian Thomas will be up for Great Britain on the high bar. Remind, the U.S. and Great Britain were separated in that 3rd position coming into this rotation by just 2 1/1000ths of a point, and the U.S. was solid already on high bar. Let's see what England can do now.
Nice release, little close, way to struggle the swing out. Combination there. You can see he has a lot of nice skills, some extra swinging in between. We've seen some of the athletes combining those elements. Finishing nice, full twisting double layout, perfect landing. So not quite the difficulty we've seen from some of the other athletes, but it was a very clean routine.
He has two coaches, Michelle Bradley and Andre Popov. He's one of the few top male gymnasts in the world who's coached by a woman.
And see how precise they have to be on those release moves. Nice height there on the dismount. Very clean in the air, spotting that mat and holding on.
Member of the bronze medal winning team from Great Britain, the Olympics in 2012, and he was a 7th place finisher in the all-around as well. 15-2-3-3, the score for Kato. This is getting close. Next up will be Yusuke Tanaka, the 3rd highest scorer qualifying.
That score was a 15.7.
Enormous pressures were coming down to the final few routines in these last 2 rotations. Oh!
Wow.
Uncharacteristic. Bent his arms, which broke the rhythm.
How much of a deduction will that be?
Significant, at least a half a point. What's interesting to me is Kohei Uchimura is not competing for Japan in this lineup. I don't understand that. The Michael Jordan of gymnastics is sitting on the sideline. Now, they have a great parallel bar team. In fact, they have No Nomura yet to come up.
Well, obviously, they were hoping for that 15.7 that he delivered in the qualification round. That is a big score, and they really needed that at this point. They've been consistent up to this point, but because we mentioned China has that extra level of difficulty and they've executed flawless, they needed a big score.
Tanaka, normally very solid, just an uncharacteristic arm bend, which will be a substantial deduction, a break in rhythm in the exercise. That's the first indication of the Japanese gymnast bowing to a little bit of pressure. 14-9, a good score for Christian Thomas. Tanaka 14-8-6-6, which is about 9/10 of a point less than he scored in the qualifying round. So that puts enormous pressure on Shogo No Nomura.
Which, by the way, this is his first world championship, so pressure is on. Let's see if he can handle it. They've been sitting in that top spot throughout this competition. We've watched China drop and then climb all the way back up.
Just find it a little confusing that one of the greatest gymnasts in history and one of the best gymnasts under pressure in history is sitting on the sidelines right now for Japan. Uchimura not in the lineup here.
Especially with this 3-up-3 count. You don't have room to make mistakes at this point.
Wow, No Nomura is amazing here. I really like his technique. He's just 21, and he is representative of the future of Japan gymnastics. Perhaps the chance to give him some pressure experience here. He is handling it.
Well, he scored a 15.2 in the qualification round. This has been a beautiful routine.
And a clutch routine under pressure by the young 21-year-old from Osaka.
That is a nice rebound. It is very difficult to come back after a mistake in the lineup and deliver a good routine because there's that mental aspect of the sport. He has a difficult routine, which means pressure was on. Not only did he deliver, it was clean and probably bettered his routine in the qualification.
And the judges agreed. 15-6-3-3, nearly a half a point better. Great pressure routine for No Nomura as Japan finishes out the 5th rotation. Japan and China will move to the 6th and final rotation. And the separation between the top 2 teams in the world right now getting closer. Less than 7/10 of a point separates 1st and 2nd. The U.S. in 3rd, Russian Federation currently in 4th. 1 rotation to go. We start now the 6th and final rotation at these World Gymnastics Championships, the men's team final. And as always, it comes down to the thrilling high bar. First up for Japan will be Ryohei Kato. Scored a 14.366 in qualifying. Once again, China has the most difficulty, so Japan will have to be the cleanest if they're going to stay ahead of the surging Chinese team, who is at one point today in 6th place, and they've been working their way back up into contention.
And this is the team they've been gunning for. They have been holding on to that top spot, and they've really been flawless until the P-bars. We saw that mistake. Now they've got to regroup and handle the pressure. Beautiful releases there.
I just can't get over the clean execution from this Japanese team throughout. Oh! Now there's a mistake. He was supposed to go over the bar and connect to that release move. So not only did he go the wrong way, but he missed the connection.
And those are elements that will affect the difficulty score.
Oh, this is interesting. Not exactly what they had hoped for.
Oh, you can see it on his face. He knows.
We mentioned they don't have the high degree of difficulty compared to China, so they have to be exceptionally clean on everything they do, and typically they are.
And he was very clean on everything else that he did. You can see great view here. Difficult release move, throwing that full twist in there.
It really is hard to keep clean form as you do that double back over the bar. All the Japanese gymnasts have the same level of tight knees and pointed toes throughout. But that missed combination is a missed opportunity, and that'll affect his score by a couple of tenths at least. Daniel Purvis will be up for Great Britain in the medal hunt here. It looks like it's coming down to Japan and China, gunning for gold and silver, but that bronze looks like it's still up for grabs with the U.S., Russia, and Great Britain.
Well, this is a great event for him. Finished 3rd at the 2010 World Championships. Nice double-double there. See these side passes now that have tremendous difficulty throughout. Double fronts, 2.5 twists. We even saw a double piked Arabian down the side today.
It's interesting, in my era, we did 3 major tumbling passes and 1 easy tumbling pass in a minute 10. Some of these gymnasts do 6 and even 7 tumbling passes in the same amount of time, and the passes they do are way more difficult.
That's what I was going to say. They're all difficult. See, catching his breath, you hear that ding in the background. That means time is coming close. As he finishes whip double Arabian, very difficult, especially when your legs are tired.
I can imagine going for that at the end, a whip to a double Arabian combination in the last pass. Yosuke Tanaka now feels a little extra pressure after the slightly botched routine from Kato. Interesting that Japan was cool throughout. A slight error on parallel bars, now a slight break in concentration on high bar. I wonder if Japan is feeling a little bit of the pressure. Kato 14.2.
Oh, and Tanaka was the one who had the mistake on the P-bars. He's got to block that out as he's mounting the high bar.
Oh, this is a clutch set for Japan right now. They need it. Beautiful. That move's called a Cassina, that laid out double over the bar with a full twist.
Wow. turning elements. Very important they finish at vertical. Nice connection work there.
Very aggressive. He doesn't seem hesitant at all. This is a clutch routine for Japan if he can hang on. Oh,
dismount.
Nice. Wow.
That's what they needed.
He had only a 14.266 in qualifying. Had trouble as the Japanese showed some inconsistency on high bar. Expect a much bigger score now and a very clutch routine under pressure.
Well, huge release right there. Beautiful form throughout. Did nice combination work, good connections. You can see those turning elements throughout the routine. How precise they have to be. Nice extension there. And a beautiful dismount, nice form in the air, and a solid landing.
Boy, every 1/10 of a point is going to count coming down in this final rotation.
And China has to sit and watch.
Oh, Purvis has a 15.1, terrific score for Great Britain on the floor. He's relieved. You're right. China just sits in the background watching Japan knock these routines out. One more look at the clean execution of Tanaka.
Remember that China is also competing on the high bar. They still have to go, so Japan kind of setting the marks. China is watching closely,
wow.
And that's a good one.
15.266, a full 1 point better than his qualifying effort. And guess what? It comes down to the king. Kohei Uchimura will be the final performer for Japan today. And whatever score is set now will be the score for China to try to beat. Japan has been in first place all day long, but they have been squandering their lead slightly, rotation by rotation. And here we are in the final one.
If you were the coach and his teammates, this is exactly who you want up last on this event. Great difficulty and form, but the best thing about him is he is a competitor. He scored a 15.2 in qualification, and I am pretty confident that he will beat that because he knows what it takes.
Coaches often talk about who do you want to have the ball at the end of the game? Your superstar. And that's what Japan has right here. Look at him. Whether he's in first place or last place, he seems to have the same mental attitude. Focused and aggressive.
There it is. And you know what's so great to watch him is it's not just for individual titles. He fights just as hard for that team competition. And like I said earlier in the competition, he has lots of individual accomplishments. This is the one they want right here, is the team gold.
Japan has not won a World Championship team gold medal since back in 1978. Could it be enough for Japan today? Only a couple of slight bobbles on high bar and parallel bars, but otherwise a near flawless performance for Japan throughout.
And he is always fun to watch, really, on all the events, but this is one of my favorites, and that's why right there, look at that body alignment. Perfect form all the way down to his toes. Nice position as he catches. We'd always say he's got the whole package. He's got the form and technique, but he knows when to put perfection into place right there. Beautiful routine.
And there's no other gymnast that's better at putting those landings down than Uchimura. Will it be enough? Japan has completed their World Championship team final competition. All the gymnasts, their eyes on the scoreboard now because they will set the score to beat for China, who will be up on the high bar next. Uchimura is relieved and happy. The coaching staff thinks it's enough. He had a 15.2 in qualifying and a 15.4 today. So there is the team total, 273-269. That is the score that China will hope to beat. Now, China was about 0.7 of a point behind coming into this final rotation. Do they have enough? Wow. We'll see China take to the high bar when we come back to Nanning, China. The final rotation with the final teams here at the World Championships coming up. Okay, folks, this is what it's all about. Final rotation, final team, and of course it's the high bar. Dong Shudi. Japan is essentially the leader in the clubhouse. They have set the score to beat. Quick calculation tells us that China needs to average over 15.286 for the 3 routines if they are hoping to overtake Japan.
And that's not necessarily easy for them. In fact, in the qualification, they only had 1 routine in the 15s. So they are going to have to be perfect right now.
Dong Shudi, not one of the biggest swingers on the Chinese team. He tends to muscle high bar a little bit, but he has an adequate routine.
He's also the national champion on this event.
I see several little form breaks here and there. Feet coming apart.
That's where that muscling comes into play, fighting through the swing. As we all know, though, fighting through and staying on the equipment is much better than coming off. And all that's left is the dismount. It was a decent start, solid, but I think they're going to need more to catch him.
He had a 14.566 in qualification. Seemed a little bit tight here. Didn't quite swing it out there with that reckless abandon that some of the other gymnasts do.
We could see some of those form breaks were happening on the turning elements. On his release move. Another look right here. When he was catching, his feet coming apart. Got to remember, these are the best judges in the world. They will see those small form breaks. Nice placement of his hands there. There again, you saw that small separation of the legs. Finished up clean with a strong dismount. And I think that's going to be a good score, but I think, like I said, to get that average they need, they're going to have to tighten up their form.
Sam Mikulik now on one of his best events, the floor exercise for the U.S. Very close for that bronze medal spot on the podium right now between the U.S., Great Britain, and Russia. U.S. on a very strong event for them. 14.9 wins the score for Mikulik in qualification. He can do even more. A little bit of a shaky routine in the qualifying round. Expect him to do better here.
Strong combination there to the double front. Beautiful.
I mentioned he's from Southern California. Began gymnastics at the age of 2. There's an air flare, kind of a variation of flares and breakdancing and gymnastics. Both of his parents were outstanding gymnasts. And he found his way into the gym at the age of 2 at Scats Gymnastics in Southern California. You're allowed to do one rollout move like that in men's gymnastics. Only one. Prior to this code of points, you could do more than one.
Finishing up triple full. Small hop forward, but that is a clean routine.
The U.S. doing what they need to do. A cleaner routine than qualifying. Expect a bigger score there. Dong Shudi still seems a little bit tense about his effort. 14.758. About 0.2 of a point better But of course, we mentioned that China needs to average a 15.286. So enormous pressure on the final two to go for China on high bar. We mentioned that they have high degree of start value across the board. About 2 points more than Japan in terms of what they're attempting here in this competition based on their qualification scores. We'll see what they can come up with here as Lin Xiaopan, the 19-year-old, takes to the high bar.
Well, he had some struggles in the qualification round. In fact, he only scored 13.966. So not only is pressure on, you have to wonder if he's thinking about that routine because they have no room for error. Big release there.
Oh, that was very low on that 1.5 turn. You're supposed to finish those turns closer to the handstand. Otherwise, there are deductions from the execution side.
A little close in there on the Jaeger.
This is a conservative routine. It's not as wild as what we saw from Japan. Nice landing. Well, he's got this team pumped up. We saw the effort on parallel bars. He's got the home crowd pumped up, that's for sure.
This is one of the many releases in his routine. Nice height there, you can see. As he catches, he has to bend those arms a little close to the bar.
And a form break resulting.
But left an exclamation point on this routine, nailing the landing. Enthusiastic, and of course the crowd loving it.
Sam Mikulik, a 15.3. Great effort for the U.S. 0.4 of a point better than his qualifying round. Lin Xiaopan, a 15.233. He had a 13.966 in qualifying. A huge score for China. What is what I would call a conservative routine with some form breaks. Higher score than I thought. The final performer now for China, one of the best in the world on the high bar, without question, Zhang Shenglong. Get this, folks, he's been sitting on the sidelines all day.
That's
He's
right.
like calling the field goal kicker in to kick a 55-yarder at the end of the game.
Which is not easy to do. In fact, sometimes you feel, wow, like you're half asleep at this point, but definitely not asleep.
He can really swing it out there. Huge releases. Very aggressive. A little low on that pirouette.
And you can feel the energy in this building. It's exciting to watch. The competition is extremely close.
To his credit, he is going for some hard stuff. Lots of difficulty in this routine.
And a strong combination there.
This is a trademark for China. The other routines were conservative. This one's not. This is aggressive.
Comes the dismount.
Oh, nice!
Wow.
Was it enough, folks? An excited crowd here in the Guangxi Sports Center.
They are on their feet.
They wonder if they've done it. Japan on the sidelines, wondering if their score will hold up. Boy, this one's coming down to the judges. The U.S. team ranked second at this point, so guaranteed a podium finish for the U.S. because gold and silver will be between China and Japan. The U.S. will end up in third when this score is calculated. Let's see what happens.
Well, this was a huge routine filled with big releases like that. He did a great job executing with clean form.
He had a 15.116. Remember, we said they needed to average 15.286. They've been well below that, so a huge score needed for Zhang Shenglong if China's going to do this. Oh, my goodness! A 15.966 for Zhang Shenglong from China. He had a 7.4 degree of difficulty. And an extremely high score in execution. Higher score than I thought he deserved, to be honest. But China wins the gold medal by 1/10 of a point over Japan.
incredible competition came right down to that final routine. And, of course, disappointment there for Japan.
Oh, my goodness. They thought they had done all they needed to do to win the gold medal. The U.S. team will get a bronze medal, which is a great effort for the U.S., holding off Russia and Great Britain for a spot on the podium. China will stand on top for the 10th time in 11 World Championships, and their 6th in a row.
And
what
to do
a
that
crazy night.
in front of their home crowd, everybody's on your feet. You could feel the energy.
We'll be back with the final results after this. What a night of gymnastics here. The men's team final at the World Artistic Gymnastics Championships by 1/10 of a point. China beats Japan, and the United States men hold off Great Britain, Russia, Brazil, and Switzerland to earn a spot on the podium. Boy, it came down to some clutch performances on the high bar, and China knew what they needed to do and handled the pressure. Let's take a look at the International Gymnastics Camp performance of the day. That had to go to Zhong Shenlong of China for this crucial routine. He had been sitting on the sidelines all day, has only one event to do for China, steps up and nails a huge one.
Well, that is not an easy thing to do, and he had a routine packed with difficulty. He executed it so well. He earned a 15.966, and it was just enough, 1/10, that edged Japan out of that top spot. It was exciting. It brought the crowd to their feet, and you could feel the energy of this competition.
And that's the performance of the day, brought to you by International Gymnastics Camp. The bronze medal went to a strong effort for the United States men. Clean throughout.
That's right. They were 18 for 18 routines, and proud to be back on that podium, earning the bronze. Like we said earlier, almost like a redemption from the 2012 Olympics.
Aggressive performances throughout for the entire U.S. men's team. They should be proud of that effort. Japan led all day long. Clean, consistent, perfect execution. They started to feel the pressure a little bit on the parallel bars and the high bar, but only minor mistakes.
Well, that is all it took. It was only a 10th separating them from that top spot. It happened on P-bars as well as on high bar, but we saw some great routines, and King Kohei delivered routines when they needed it.
But China started out slow on floor and pommel horse. In fact, more than 3.5 points behind Japan after the first two events. But it was on the rings where their incredible start value and clean execution started working them way back into contention.
And you could feel they were feeding off this crowd. This crowd was behind them 110%. They delivered big routines and big scores.
So China wins a record 6th in a row world team title, besting the great teams from Japan who dominated in the 70s with 5 in a row. It's China, Japan, and the U.S. on the medal podiums. For Amanda Borden, I'm Bar Connor. Thanks for watching.